Hello, third grade virtual academy, and welcome back to our art class for the week. So what we're going to be talking about this week is the idea of symmetry and what that looks like in art. So symmetry is a type of balance. Symmetrical shapes can be folded in half on their line of symmetry. So you can see that the star over here has a line of symmetry going right up the center, where you could fold it in half and this side would meet this side perfectly. This diamond here actually has two lines of symmetry. One is this way, but also one is this way. So sometimes you're folding it in half horizontally and sometimes vertically. Sometimes it's diagonal as well. The opposite of symmetric is called asymmetric. So this is a symmetrical shape here where you could fold it in half and it would match perfectly. And this is an asymmetric shape where you would fold it in half and it would not be the same on both sides. There's also a type of symmetry called radial symmetry. So this one can be folded in half a bunch of different ways, kind of like that diamond that we looked at the beginning, except that one only had two lines of symmetry. So these usually have a bunch of lines of symmetry and they all meet at a center point. So this is called radial symmetry, like a circle. We're going to look at the symmetry of hot air balloons. So again, we're looking for shapes that we could fold in half and they'd be the same on both sides. So for this hot air balloon, you can kind of figure that the line of symmetry is right here. And if you were to fold this balloon in half on that line, it would be perfectly symmetrical with shape and color. Same thing over here. I think the line of symmetry might be this row right here. If you split this row right in half, you could fold that in half and it would be the same for shape and color. So here's another one where it's just a little bit more clear. This black line that goes between these two chevron type shapes is the line of symmetry. So if you folded it in half, these yellows would meet up with these yellows, this purple would meet up with this purple, and it's perfectly symmetrical. Sometimes balloons have the symmetrical shape, but they have different color patterns that make them asymmetrical color patterns. So I would say that this one here, for example, is symmetrical in shape and color because you could fold it in half right here. This one is also symmetrical because you could fold it in half right here. But if we look at this one over here, it is symmetrical shapes because it's a bunch of squares. However, the colors have a pattern that goes diagonally, so the color pattern on this is actually asymmetrical. Here is a fun time-lapse video of some hot air balloons taking off. I won't show you this video in this lesson, but this slideshow is in the Google Classroom for you to look at, and I recommend that you watch this if you want to see what it looks like for them to blow up and take off into the sky. It's a really cool video. So every year, St. Louis has a hot air balloon festival called the Great Forest Park Balloon Race, and it's been going for almost 50 years now. It's a huge event for the city of St. Louis, and it's really fun to go to. This year's event was supposed to happen this upcoming weekend, and they are still planning on having a kind of event, but it is going to be a modified event, a different event, just because of all the stuff that's happening. So if you happen to be downtown, keep an eye on the sky, and you might see some balloons. So we're going to make our own symmetrical hot air balloons today with computer paper, markers, crayons, and a pencil. So here is a piece of computer paper. Make sure you're not trying to do this on notebook paper or lined paper because it just won't work. So we're going to take our piece of blank white computer paper. If you have drawing paper, that's okay, but with this one, we kind of like thinner better. So we're going to take our computer paper and put it vertically in front of you, which means the tall way. And we're actually going to fold it in half vertically. So I'm going to take it and make it one big long piece of paper. So fold it in half vertically. Make sure those corners match up nicely. Give it a good crease. And now I have a super tall piece of paper. So I think this is called hot dog style of folding, but we call it folding it vertically. So now I have my paper, and what I want to do is identify the folded edge. So we have the part here that is open, where you can see between the pages, and then we have the part that is folded, so the folded edge. It's a little hard to see, isn't it? All right, so what we're gonna do is on the folded edge of the paper, which is this part, it's the part you can run your finger up and down without getting a paper cut. On the folded edge of the paper, that's where we're going to do our drawing. So make sure that you're drawing on the folded edge, and we'll check it here in just a minute. But basically, I'm gonna take a pencil. Now, I'm gonna use a crayon or a marker because I want you guys to be able to see it, but you're gonna use a pencil for this. Make sure to use a pencil. And we're going to be drawing half of our hot air balloon because we want it to be symmetrical. So we're going to draw half and then trace the half. So here we go. On the folded edge, so the part that does not open, we're going to start near the top of the paper and do a large, almost like an ear shape or like a C shape, get almost to the edge. And then we're going to go back down and get almost to the paper, maybe about halfway. So like that. So that's half of my hot air balloon shape. Once I get about halfway back to the paper, this is where I have to do that bottom part of that hot air balloon where it comes together and attaches to the basket. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to turn and almost make like the letter L, but keep it kind of curvy. So we kind of have like a letter C and then a letter L, but they're all curvy. After that, I'm going to do my strings that go down. So I'm just going to do one for now. And then I have to do my basket. So go over, down, and over. So this is half of my hot air balloon. So in order to check and see if you did this on the right part of the paper, open your paper up and see if you're ready to put the other half of the balloon on the other side of the paper. If your balloon is over here and you're not going to be able to draw anymore, then you need to get another piece of paper and try it again. So we're not going to do the other half just yet. We're going to finish decorating this part first. So now that I have my hot air balloon shape, I need to do hot air balloon patterns. So hot air balloons are kind of quilted out of a bunch of different materials, and they get those kind of square or chevron patterns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by making my rows that go from the top to the bottom of the balloon. So first I'm going to actually do a line right here on the edge. This might be a little hard to do with a pencil, but easier to do with a marker or a crayon. I'm going to go down like this and trace that middle line. So when I open it, I now have a center line for my balloon. Close it up again, and I'm going to do two more lines. So I'm going to go like this. They're going to be slightly curved. One, and then this one goes two. So now I have three lines technically because I have one here, and one here. So now I'm going to decide if I want the chevron pattern or the straight square pattern, and I prefer the chevron one. So what I'm going to do to make chevrons is I'm going to go like this. Start at your center, go zig, zag, and zig. So now I have a line that goes down to that line, up to that line, down to that line. I'm going to do the opposite pattern on this one. So I'm going to go up, down, up. I'm going to make a line close together to this one to make like a small skinny chevron. So I'm going to go the same pattern. And then down here, maybe I'll just flip it back the other way. So I'll go down, up, and then I'm kind of out of space over here, but I can go down a little bit. Maybe I think there's enough room down here for another one, so maybe I'll add one more. I'm going to change patterns again, like that and like that. But you can do whatever kind of pattern you want on your balloon. If you want it to be all those kind of square ones, then you just kind of go straight, straight, straight. But I like the chevron pattern. I think it looks more interesting. I actually like the way this skinny section looks, so I'm going to add one more of those too. I'm going to go down, up, down. All right, so I'm going to open up my balloon, and I am ready to trace for the other half. So for this, we need to find a window. Hi guys, I know it's really hard to see me because of all the bright light coming in the window. There's also a bunch of kids out there having recess being a little bit loud, but that's okay. That's what recess is for. I know it's really hard to see me, but what we're going to do is we're going to use our paper and a window to create the other half by tracing through our paper. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. I have my paper here, the other side is blank. You can already see the trick working because when you hold this up to the window, what happens is the paper becomes see-through. I know this is really hard to see, but this is actually the blank side of my paper, but you're seeing the pattern side through. So you're going to take your paper, hold it up to a window, use your pencil or whatever it is that you're using, and you're going to trace it through. So again, the side that you're seeing right now is actually the blank side of my paper. I'll bring it closer. It is the blank side of the paper. Here's the pattern side, here's the blank side. So I do suggest tracing your half that you've already done. Trace it with a marker if you can't see through your paper very well, because the marker is really easy to see. So if you hold it up to the window and your pencil is too hard to see, take a break, trace it with your marker, and then come back and do this half. So I'm going to trace this half. I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to see, but I'm going to take my paper, take my marker, So once you have traced it up against the window, what you should be able to do is open up your paper and reveal the two halves of your balloon. Sometimes you'll notice that your lines aren't exactly even or they don't meet up right away in the middle. So I'm actually going to take my marker and just retrace some of these lines to make them look just a little bit nicer and a little bit more symmetrical. So you can do that as well, but if yours turned out perfectly the first time, then you don't have to do this part. After you have traced all of your lines and you make sure that you have a symmetrical shape, then it's time for you to decide if you would like to have a symmetrical color pattern or an asymmetrical color pattern. So when we looked at the examples, some of the balloons were the exact same on both sides. So they would have like red, blue, and then red, blue, and they would just switch that way and they would be perfectly symmetrical on both sides. Some of them would be where they would have a pattern going down like this. So you have to choose for yourself whether you want this to look however you want this to look. It can look however you want. Just think about patterns as you do it and think about symmetry, but we already have the symmetrical shape of our balloon. So the rest of this is up to you. When I'm done coloring mine, I will show you a picture of it. I hope you guys have fun with this, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.